Hello, my name is Tracy Allen, and I want to welcome you to Cooking with Some Friends. Hello and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. I'm getting ready to share with you a recipe for beer battered fish and chips since it is March and St. Patrick's Day and all of that. So I have some oil heating, but I'm actually cutting my recipe down, but I took some potatoes and I peeled those and sliced those up into about 1/2-inch slices. And then I put them in ice cold water for about an hour, and then I rinsed them twice, and now they're ready to go. And I'm gonna fry them once. So I'm going to pre-fry them in about 350 degree oil, let those drain, and then I'll cook my fish, and then I'll come back and increase the temperature of the oil and refry the French fries so they're even crispier. So that's the beginnings of what I'm doing now. So I'm going to pre-fry right now, and then I'll come back and show you the fish recipe, and then I will come back again and show you how we're going to finish up the fries. Okay, I'm back with our beer batter fish and chips. And I went ahead and pre-cooked those potatoes that I had cut up, put in cold water, let it set for about an hour, drained them, rinsed them twice. But now I'm ready to go ahead with my fish. And I have in my first bowl, I have 1/2 cup of flour with some salt and pepper. And in my second bowl, I have 1 cup of flour with a teaspoon of garlic powder, and some salt, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And to that, I'm going to add some beer. And we don't keep beer around very often. So I'm going to do this recipe, and my crock pot's in the background. So for lunch tomorrow, we're going to do a brisket that has beer in it. So anyway, so I need to put in here 1 cup of beer, or you can use ale. And I'm going to add it gradually because of that baking powder in there. It's going to want to foam up. And if you need more liquid when you're working, you can add cold water. So I'm going to set that aside because I'm going to need it for my brisket. So I'm going to stir this in gradually. And then I'm going to take my fish fillets, and I have cod. You can use any kind of a white fish. And I'm going to dip it in the flour mixture first, and then in this batter, and then fry it. And when it's done, I'll fry it in batches, and when it's done, then I'll go ahead and refry those French fries that I pre-fried. Okay, I can go ahead with the rest of it. But you can see how it wants to foam. And you want to do the cold water sparingly if you're going to do it, because you don't want this to be too runny, but as it sits, it will thicken up some as well. When before I retired, when I would teach, I'd have my kids during the British Isles unit, they would do fish and chips. And when we did the United States, we'd do boardwalk fries, and so they just love doing those kinds of things. So I'll dip them, but I want to shake off any extra. And then gently lower that into the oil. You can see I cut my pieces of fish pretty small. I don't want them too big, so that it takes them too long to get done. Once they brown on one side, I'll flip them over and let that brown on the other side. And I do have some paper toweling ready for my fish when it's done cooking, to drain that on. But as you can see, they brown up pretty fast. So I'm just going to keep doing this in batches until it's done. Then I'll go ahead and add the fries in at that higher temperature as well and cook those the rest of the way through. Hello and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. Hope you had a wonderful day. I am throwing some supper together and I wanted to make tonight super simple. So I'm going to make a chicken pot pie bake, and the reason it's so simple is, one, I'm going to use rotisserie chicken, and normally I would buy the whole chicken and take it off the bone myself, but they didn't have the full one. So I paid a little extra and got the one that's already boned, so it's a little simpler too. But I got two different flavors. One is the traditional, which is what I really normally use, and then one says it's simply seasoned, so you can do whichever one you want. And the other reason it's so simple, it uses canned soup and it uses Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuit mix. So we're starting with, I'm not making a full recipe, so the full recipe you'll find actually at the beginning of the video. So I'm cutting it down for just my husband and I. So I have my smaller baking pan, normally it'd be in a 9x13, and I've melted some butter, and I'm going to pour most of it in the bottom of my pan, and I've preheated my oven, and I'm going to reserve part of this because it goes in with the biscuits. Okay. Then I'm going to take the chicken that I have and try to get it open. Good old kitchen shears. And I'm going to put that into my pan next. Right over the top of the butter. And I'm using the whole I think it was 1 pound container. Yes, a 1 pound container. So I figured it'd be pretty close to equal to the whole chicken. And if the pieces are a little too large, you can always break them up a little bit. Of course, you wouldn't have to if you bone it yourself. You could even just cook your own chicken or use leftover grilled chicken, whatever chicken you have that's already cooked. Okay. Now over that, I'm going to put a blend of frozen vegetables, and I'm going to use a blend of our frozen peas and corn. You could use green beans. You can use a bag of frozen vegetables from the store. You could use some with carrots in it. But for convenience sake, I'm using what I had. And next I'm going to make a combination of, I have a can of cream of chicken soup that I'm going to put in my bowl. Now I do also have out some garlic powder and onion powder and salt and pepper that you could put on top of your vegetables. I'm going to put a little bit of salt on mine, but this chicken is seasoned well enough. I'm afraid to go ahead and add too much of anything else. So I might do salt and pepper, but I'm going to go without the onion powder and the garlic powder, just because it's seasoned already. Okay, so to this can of soup, I'm going to add a mixture of heavy whipping cream. I have a 1/4 cup of that and a couple of tablespoons of sour cream. Mix that together. And this is going to go over my vegetable layer. Now I've heard some people say that they like to also add, or some recipes that also add in some chili powder. But like I said, my chicken was seasoned well enough. You can smell the seasonings on it, so I'm not going to add that to it. Okay. So I'm going to put this over the top of the vegetables and kind of spread it out. I love the crust on regular pot pies, and especially if it's got like pastry like phyllo or crescent roll or something like that on top of it. But the topping that's going to go on this I like just as well. Get it to all the corners and over my vegetables. And this has to bake for about 50 to 55 minutes in that 350 degree oven. Okay, so over this then, I'm going to move that over to the side. I'm going to mix up my biscuits. And so I have my biscuit mix in here. Seasoning packet out. And you're just going to follow the directions pretty much on the package. So you're going to stir in, the main difference is instead of water, you're going to stir in milk to your biscuit mix. And then you're going to pour this over the top. Once you get your biscuits mixed in, all mixed up. I'm also going to add some cheddar cheese to my biscuits. I was looking to see if the mix tells you to add the cheese, and it doesn't tell you to add it, but it's there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and put my seasoning packet in that comes in the box. And I'm going to put about a 1/4 cup of cheese in here. And you can always add more cheese on top when you're ready, if you would like to. Okay, now this is going to go over the top. And you just want to kind of dollop it around. You don't necessarily want to over smooth it because you want these biscuits to become kind of fluffy on top. So you'll know it's done at the end of the time. You want your biscuits that are on top to be a golden brown. Get all my biscuit mix. So again, I don't want to over smooth it. I just want to make sure there's biscuit everywhere. Okay, now I am ready to take the rest of that butter, that 1 stick of butter that I had, and pour it over the top. And, excuse me, I'll pour it over the top once the biscuits come out. So I have my 1/4 cup of butter that I'm going to go ahead and pour over the top when I'm done. Now you could have reserved your seasoning packet and put it in now, but I like to do it in with the biscuits just to add that extra flavor. So this is going to go in the oven, and then I'll put the butter on when it comes out. Okay, so our casserole's out of the oven. All you need to do is drizzle the butter over the top. Let that soak in, and then we're ready to eat. Thanks for joining us for this session of Cooking with Some Friends. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And find us on Facebook at Cooking with Some Friends.